All right, guys. This is part B. And yet again, let me see how many questions I can do. All right, so 57, sorry, not 57, 56. It's a cross section of a shed, like a little house. All right. Well, what we have here is a rectangular base and a triangular roof. All right. It says how high is the roof of the shed. So let us assume that this will split into two. So this would have been 8, and then this would have been 8. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to draw a right angle triangle. So that's 8. That's 10. And this will be h. Well, obviously, we're going to use Pythagoras Theorem. So Pythagoras Theorem states that the sum of the square of the two short sides is equal to the square of the longest sides. So the longest side is the hypotenuse, which is opposite the right angle. So h squared is 100 is 10 squared, which is 100. Subtract h squared, which is what? 64. 64 from 100 is 36. And to get rid of the square, we square root. And the square root of 36 is 6. So h is actually 6. You know, and you don't really have to do all of this. If you remember the Pythagorean triples from our CXE class, one of them is 3, 4, and 5. And the other one is 6, 8, and 10. So the 3 and the 4 represents the sides of the two short sides, and the 5 would be hypotenuse. All right. So if they give you 3 and 4, the hypotenuse is going to be 5. If they give you 4 and 5, one of the short sides is going to be 3. If they give you 3 and 5, one of the short sides is going to be 4. Likewise, this one. They give you the 10, and they give you the 8. So the other one would have to be 6. It's a multiple choice, so you don't need to show any working out, and that's another way of doing it. All right. All right, so for this one, it says, what is the size of angle marked y? So this is actually a four-sided figure. It's a quadrilateral, no, sorry, it's not a quadrilateral. It's a trapezium. No, it is a quadrilateral, sorry. It's a quadrilateral. It's also called a trapezium, all right? Well, angles in a triangle add up to 180. Angles in a trapezium add up to 360, all right? So what we're going to do, we're going to add, well, this is 90 and 90 and 130. So add 90 plus 90 plus 130, which is 310, plus the y, and that is equal to 360. All right. We subtract 310 from both sides, 360. Subtract 310, and so there is 50. Okay, 54, those are what we call corresponding angles. Corresponding angles are equal, so if this is 120, then this also must be 120. All right, let me draw that a little bit better. So this has to be 120. As you can see, this angle on a straight line. Angle on a straight line measures what? 180. So 180 subtract 120, we get 60. Okay, it says here is part of a pattern. What shape is used in the pattern? As you can see, this has 5 sides. This is called a pentagon. So penta means 5, hexagon 6, octagon 8. All right. Okay, so this question is saying, what is the gradient? So gradient is rise, vertical rise, divided by horizontal run. Now, if the line is falling to the right, the gradient is positive. That's a positive correlation. If it is falling to the left, the gradient is negative. It has a negative correlation. So vertical rise, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, sorry, it's 2. If you look at the scale, so it's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So rise is 10, and run is 5, as you can see. So the gradient here is 2. It's positive 2. If the line was like this, it would have been negative 2. All right, so this question here, 51, it says, this is a distance time graph showing 4-car journeys. All right, so what you need to understand about distance time graph, so this is the distance and that is the time. So a distance time graph gives you the speed of the car. All right, so speed is distance traveled divided by time taken. Let's look at car A. The question, the one that's going 200 miles per second, because you're covering longer distance within the same time period. All right, so let's look at car A. Now, car A is, it doesn't look like 4, but let's call it 4 still. So car A, that's 4 miles in 4 minutes, which is 1 mile per minute. That's car A. Let's look at car D. Car D all right, so that's car A. Car D, let's look at car D. So that's about 0.5 in terms of distance, and let's call it 4.4. So let's work out the speed. So that speed is 0.11 mile per minute. As you can see, car D is not going anywhere. It's very slow. All right. So as we can see from this graph, that car A will be traveling the fastest. All right, based on our calculations. Another way you could look at this is that you look at the slope of the line. So the line with the highest slope will be traveling the fastest. All right. Okay, so in a box there are n red marbles and 3 times as many black marbles. So, well, there's no notation for black marbles. So you could actually say there are 3 times as many red marbles. But the 3 times as many red marbles, the 3 times as many marbles is actually black in color. All right. And we have 36 marbles in the box. Okay, 49, pretty straightforward, simple algebra. What we're going to do, we're going to add we're going to add 1 on the left hand side, 1 on the right hand side. -1 plus 1 will give us 0. That's 2x. 1 plus 1 is 2. Divide everything by 2. X is 1. Here's another one. All right, so these are 2 like terms. So 4y plus 3y is actually 7y. That is equal to 28. Divide everything by 7. Y is equal to 4. Okay, for this question, there was an error in the question itself. So where you have 2 squares, actually a square. So the question would have been a square, open bracket, 2b, subtract root c, close bracket. All right, so a is 4, so it's going to be 4 square and 2 times b, which is 5, subtract the square root of 16. So that's 16. 4 squares is 16. 4 times 4 is 16. 2, 5 is 10. The square root of 16 is 4. Work the bracket. 4 from 10 is 6. Between the bracket is a multiplication sign. 16 times 6 is, you tell me. It's 96. All right, so this is a probability question. All right. So remember, probability is your favorable outcome, what you want. Sorry, not your favorable outcome, your total possible outcome. All right, and your favorable outcome is what you divide it by. So your favorable outcome is what you want, divided by your total possible outcome. So if you look at this question here, our total possible outcome would have been 30. Because we have 20 almond chocolate and 10 dark chocolate, right? So we have two types of chocolate, almond and dark. Girl picks a chocolate at random. What is the probability that she picks a dark chocolate? So a dark chocolate is actually, it's 10 of them, right? So it's 10 out of 30. And once we reduce that, we get a third. All right. So range is the difference between the highest value and the lowest value. So 40 students sat a test. The range of the score was 30. So the range is 30. The highest score was 64. So what was the lowest? So rearranging this, you get that. So I'll just put the negative L over here, so put the plus 30 over there, so. And the sign changes. So 30 from 64. Is 34. Sorry about that. All right, so whoops, I missed that question. Oh boy, time is going after. Sorry about that. Okay, so a basketball team averages 98 points in its first 3 games. How many points must the team score in the next game in order to have a 100-point average overall? So when they work, okay, so this basketball team, them do 3 games, right? So they do 3 games. So that's the first score, second score, third score. And what they do, they divide it by 3, and everything equals what? 98. So this would have been the total score. All right. So we want to know what the total score is out of those 3 games. So to get a total score, let's multiply 3 times the 98. Let us cross multiply. Three times 98 is 294. So the total score for the first three games was 294. What you want now? The question says, how much points must a team score in the next game in order to have a 100-point average overall? So that's the essence of the question. All right. So notice it says what is the score in the next game. So you all want to know. So we know that the total score for the first three games was 294. All right. So we want to know how much more score must you get or add on, since it's the next game, so it will be the fourth game. All right. And when everything works out, you must get what? A 100-point overall average. All right. So hope you guys following. So remember, when you find an average, you always divide by the amount of times, right? The amount of times the event happened. All right. So it says the first three games, that was average. It says, what is the next game? So what would we build on the first three games? And the next game will be the fourth game. So cross multiply, 4 times 100 is 400. So it's 294 plus x equals 400. All right, so we subtract 294 from 400 and we get 106. All right, so in order for the team to have an average, a 100-point average overall, they need to score 106 points in their fourth game. All right. So much important. So this question looks big and complicated. All right. What I've noticed about sometimes these questions, the big and complicated questions, they're not so complicated at all to answer. All right. So it says the line graph. So remember that line graph shows progression. All right. It shows trends. The line graph shows average monthly temperatures over a 1-year period in one of the Caribbean islands. So as you can see, we have temperature on the y-axis, and these are the months on the x-axis. From May to August. So this is May. That's August. So May and August is right here. We notice between May and August, it will go up and through. So it's steadily increasing. So the answer there is D. All right, so this question here. The chart shows the actual and predicted sales for 6 months at a retail outlet store. All right. So the extremely light gray is the actual sale, and what they have in this darker gray is the predicted. In which month was the prediction about sales most accurate? Well, obviously it's November, not true? Look at it. Both of them are on par. All right. You might argue that October is pretty close, not true? October is pretty close. December is pretty close. But the most accurate is actually November, because in November it levels off, basically levels off. So the predicted and actual sales were realized for November. All right. This question here, it says the diagram shows the total weight of 4 apples. So you know the weighing scale, that you go to shop and buy pound of rice. Well, they don't do that. I'm sure you don't do that. No. Well, they usually pack up the rice. I'm sure. Unless you buy meat or yam, yeah. So you'd have a little thing down here, you know, you put in the stuff, right? All right, so this weight is actually 4 apples. What is the weight of 1 apple? So what we need to do is to read off this value and divide it by 4. And notice this equal weight. All right. So before we can do this, we need to configure these calibrations. So between this one, the 100 and 200, as you can see, that's 100, right? So everything go by 100. So, and we have some little markings here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have it's divided up into 5 segments. So if every unit you get 100 and they divide it in 5 small pieces, that means that each small piece is worth 20. So each of these little thing is 20. So this would be 120, 140, 160, 180, 200. So this is 600, 620. So this is 600 and what? 40. So it's pointing right here. So 600, 620, 640. So the weight of the 4 apples is 640 grams. All right, but we need the value of 1 apple, so we divide it by 4. All right. And that's 160. So each apple weighs 160 grams. That's heavy. All right. So moving on, fine. Okay, so as I said before, guys, anytime we come up with these questions and let's see them big long table. This big long table. It's not difficult to work out, all right? All right, so what is this saying? Tornado. This table shows how tornadoes are classified according to their wind speed measured in miles per hour. Likewise, hurricanes. So F0, this is the classification. My modest, I guess for hurricanes, you'd have a tropical wave. This would be like a tropical wave, the mild. Then you have tropical depression. And you have tropical storm. Then you have hurricane category 1, hurricane category 2, etc., etc. Which tornado classifier has an intensity wind speed of 146 miles per hour? So 146 lies between 113 and 157. All right, so that would be significant. So the answer there is B, significant. All right. All right, so we have a stable, right? The table shows the weights at birth of 90 babies born during May. All right. So 9 babies weigh that 2.3, 8 baby, etc., etc. So what fraction of the babies weigh at least 2.6 kilograms birth? It says what fraction? Well, first of all, we need to find out, it's like a probability question, basically. So what we need to do, find out how much baby in total. So if you add all these numbers, I think you're gonna get 90. Let me double check. You do get 90. All right, so it's everything is out of 90. But notice here it says what fraction of babies weigh at least. At least. What does at least mean? If I tell you that I have at least $3, that means that I have 3 or more. So 2.6 kilogram, this is the weight. So we start right here. So it's all these values here. There are at least 2.6. All right. But in terms of number of babies, because these are the weights, these are the weights of at least 2.6 kilogram. So we're going to add this, all these numbers. 6, 9, 12, 18, 21. What do we get? 66. When you reduce that, you're going to get 11 over 50. All right. All right. So at the end of a 15K kilometers road race, the first runner crossed the finish line at 7:52. The last runner crossed at 9:05. How long after the first runner did the last runner cross the finish line? So basically, they want to find out the time between these two times. All right. So basically, this person came first, this person came last. They want to know the time interval the runners actually ran the race. All right, so you start at 7:52. I like to reason all these questions layman way. So 7:52, then you have 8:52. So between 7:52 and 8:52 are 1 hour. Now the time is 9 The last time is what? 9:05. So we need to calculate how much minutes you have between 8:52 and 9:05. So let's check this out now. 8:52 to 9 o'clock is 8 minutes. That's how you go. Yeah, man. If this 8:52 means 8 minutes to 9, all right? And then 9:05, that was 5 minutes past 9. So that's 13. So between 8:52 and 9:05, that's 13 minutes. So the answer is 1 hour and 13 minutes. Oh, I like this. I like this question. Sometimes people say, boy, you know, can't bother with maths. But I love this question. Very practical. Especially if you're an entrepreneur. All right, so basically, these are the ingredients for a cake. All right, but they're zooming on one of the items. It says 1 cup of sugar that they use is 225 grams. All right. Now, how much cup of sugar them use to make the cake? Them use 2 cups, not true? So we have to multiply that by 2. All right. All right, let's get down to this now. It says, how many of these cakes can be made with 1.8 kilogram of sugar? So the first thing we need to know is that 1,000 grams of sugar gives you 1 kilogram. All right. So if you have 1.8 kilogram of sugar, that's 1,800 grams of sugar, not true? All right, so let's say you have 1,800 grams of sugar. How much cake you can get out of that? So you are going to know. 1 cup of sugar is 225, but them use 2 cups. So we multiply that by 2. So 2 times 225 is 450. So to make 1 cake, we need 450 grams of sugar. All right. But you how much sugar you have now? I have 1,800 grams of sugar. How much cake can I make out of that? Just divide 450 into 1,800, and you'll get 4. So we can get 4 cakes out of that amount of sugar. All right. Okay, I'm just gonna. Because of time, this is my last question. You know, well, I really wanted to go 30, but it is what it is. I don't know if I can do 30. Let me do 30. Feel like I am accomplishing something. So 10.5% as a fraction. So 10.5 is actually 10.5 over 100, not true? Yeah. But 10.5 is actually 21 over 2 divided by 100. All right? So we say 21 over 2. Change the division to what? Multiplication. Reciprocate that. So end up with, well, nothing here can cancel. So end up with 21. 21 times 1 is 21. 2 times 100 is what? 200. So end up with 21 over 200. I like this question. All right, so a newspaper article says that a woman spent 3/5 of her weekly salary on rent and 25% of her salary on food. All right. Our food costs 2,500. So guess what? 25. So this is the part that we'll have to use to work out the salary. All right. So here we go. We need to know our salary. All right. And this question is asking about what? Rent. So if we can get the salary, find 3/5 of the salary, then that will give us how much to spend on rent. To get the salary, we have to use this information. It says 25% of our salary is on food, and our food costs 2,500. So 25%, which is 25 over 100, oops, which is a quarter, times her salary is equal to what? 2,500. All right. So what we have here is a quarter times, well, that's a quarter. So 1 times S is 1S, salary. All right. So we have 1S over 4. So we have 2,500. Cross multiply. So our salary, oh boy, that's so messy. Our salary, ladies and gentlemen, is 4 times 2,500, which is 10 grand. So our weekly salary is 10 grand. So let's go back to the top part of the question. It says 3/5 of our weekly salary is on rent. What is our rent? All right. So 3/5. So we're going to find 3/5 of 10 grand. All right. So 5 and 5 was 1. 5 into 10,000 is what? 2,000. 3 times 2,000 is 6,000. So our rent is 6,000. So out of the 10 grand, spend 6,000. That's a lot, because if you spend 6,000 per rent, 2,500 on food, that means for the week you should have spent 8,500 on rent and food. So she just left with $1,500, you know, to do other stuff. I mean, if you're living in America, it wouldn't be so bad. All right, guys, I think, you know, it's pretty late, so I'm not going to touch any more questions. So all the best.